Thank you.
Without letting you go, I would not let you go without asking about security insurgency in Nigeria.
Yeah.
In your view,
Yeah.
how do you think government should handle insurgency? How do they handle it?
Well, I think insecurity is. It depends on different magnitude. There is no community that is totally free from criminality. That's the truth. Even the advanced countries, there is criminality all over. The important thing is, what are you doing to address it? Do your best to bring it to the barest minimum. You see, in Nigeria, we have many challenges. Challenges of inadequacy in number of the operatives, inadequacy of equipment, inadequacy in training, inadequacy in the welfare of the security operatives, and inadequacy of the services itself, the coordination of the entire services. Nigeria is said to be 200 plus million, but do you know that we don't have up to 400,000 policemen? If you put the police, you put the army, you put the navy, the air force, the civil defense, and so on, I don't think we have up to 1 million of them. And if you see the vastness of the areas to be covered, one, they cannot all be in every place, and they cannot cover the entire place. My solution to it is that, as much as possible, while the security agencies are doing their best, government should encourage community watch, community policing, which unfortunately is being misunderstood. When you talk of community policing, people will think you're talking of state police that will be armed with weapons, just like Nigerian police. No. I've tried it in Kano. Even though we call it Hizbah, call it anything, what we did was community policing. We set up the elders in every local government, in every ward, to recruit the Hizbah guards. So they are locally recruited, and the process of the recruitment was spelled out. Make sure the criteria, the discipline, the credibility of those that will be recruited. We recruited Hizbah guards 20 in every ward. That's why I always prefer to call them, community watch. People that watch over the happenings in the society. And ask anybody in Kano, within 2 years of the Hizbah guards in Kano, we had over 10,000 workforce. The state government and the local government were paying them the pittance, the allowances. Within 2 years, there was no any vices anywhere in Kano, in spite of our population, because the community was used. The moment they discover any crime, they quickly sit down and address it in the community. They were not carrying any weapon, not even a stick, not to talk of sophisticated guns or weapons, no. But through counseling, through involvement, they are part of the community. We address all of these things. So I think while the official security operatives are doing their best, information is one of the biggest ingredients being used by any security agency. And you cannot get the correct information without using the local people who live in that environment, who live in the same community with the people. So the community watch, the community policing, not community police, community policing, that is the community watch, because these two must be differentiated. It's not just the police as police, but policing means trying to coordinate, find out, to guide and control and monitor what is going on in the community. If we decide in the community, you and I will be engaged as community watch, as community police, we don't have to carry any weapon. So I think my suggestion to address this insurgency, a lot of the communities must be used to tap information, to monitor their movement, and if possible, work hand in hand as the JTF in the Northeast, They've been very helpful. They are the youth from the community who know the environment. If you mobilize soldiers from Abuja to Maiduguri today who have never been there before, take them to the bush, they don't even know their ways out. But if you collaborate with the community, they will have the best of information, how to move around, the location and so on. So I think part of the solution is encouraging this community support. And I'm sure with that, we can go a very long way in addressing this issue. It's not just about using the force alone. Since the force are very few, you'll be fighting in this community. Before you know it, another community has caught fire, and you move them again. So the police and the army are gradually being overstretched. But I commend the government, the current government, for its effort to, they'll be recruiting more and more and more and more. But the recruitment drive has to really be fast enough and enlarged. Recruitment of 10,000 policemen and few thousands in the army will not help. What I would love to see is government to plan a huge projected 20-year plan of recruitment, continuous recruitment, gradually. Put in all the funds, improve the training grounds, the training institutions that will go and keep training them, refresher courses here and there within the military, within the police and so on, so that they will be really moving with the advancement and the sophistication of the society. With this whole social media thing, if you see the volume, the amount of information that goes out every minute, it contributes a lot. So we have to catch up with the current trend and make best use of these information outlets so that we utilize it as part of the component. I'm sure the security agencies, the intelligence unit must be doing this, but we want to see more and more of it using the community. So,
thank you so much, A-File. Thank you for yourselves.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for the education sector, knowing fully well the background?
Well, I think as an educator, as an educationist, and somebody that has administered education all my life, we always say there are two major factors if you need quality education. One, the teacher aspect. We must make deliberate efforts to produce more trained and qualified and well-remunerated teachers whose welfare is very well looked after, and create a circumstance that you produce more and more and more, and encourage more of our talented students to go into education so that they come back with their intelligence, their talents to impact on the younger ones. That's one aspect. Number two is the instructional materials. If you get the teacher, especially primary education and secondary, which are the foundation, getting the teacher alone is not enough. You must bring in the instructional materials, the appropriate textbooks, the appropriate laboratories, the appropriate workshops, so that at least the equipments, the instructional materials that the trained teacher will use in imparting the knowledge are also available. If you take, for example, a subject like English, which is a compulsory subject and is the medium of communication, there's no way you can teach in primary and secondary level English without textbook. You give assignments, comprehension, composition, reading and reading skills, teaching them how to read, how to write, essays and so on. This you cannot do without the materials. There is no way you can teach subjects like biology, physics, chemistry without the appropriate apparatus in the laboratories. There is no way you can teach my subject mathematics without the textbooks, so that you give assignments regular, almost daily. There is no day I went into the classroom to teach my subject mathematics without giving assignment. You will teach formula and teach all this, then you give assignments from the textbook. Then they go home, do work, and return. So if these two, the environment It's relevant and important, but it's not as important as these two. If you get the correct teacher and get the correct instructional material, you can produce first class even under the tree. So it's not just about constructing the classrooms. Of course, that is going on to create more spaces for the children because there is the demand. For example, 80% of my constituency project within the last 2 years I've been in the Senate are construction of classrooms in the primary schools and secondary school because they need them. It will decongest. We now have classes of 100 students, for example. But if you build more classrooms, you are decongesting the classes, maybe reducing them to 50, 40, so that there will be easy teacher-student contact in the class. But a class of 100 students, 120, there is no one-to-one contact of the teacher. The teacher will just stand on the blackboard and this. So I think the best way to improve education is to improve teacher quality and instructional materials.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.